Cell is one of the big three of the villains in Dragon Ball Z, and he's been receiving a ton of Ichiban Kuji and Master Release figures over the last few years. One particular figure that fans have been waiting for is when he's exploding at the Cell games. Well, now we have to wait no longer, because today we're going to be reviewing the first ever Ichiban Kuji of Cell exploding. We're going to go over all of his details, references, who sculpted him, where to buy him, and of course, answering today's question, does Cell live up to our expectations? We do Dragon Ball figure reviews, news, and more here on the channel, so if you don't want to miss out on the hottest releases, make sure you subscribe. As mentioned earlier, this Cell figure is based on the moment he tries to self-destruct to destroy Earth and everyone on it. The direct reference is from this manga panel from Dragon Ball Chapter 412 and Episode 188 of the Dragon Ball Z anime. The figure comes from Bandai's Ichiban Kuji line of figures. Ichiban Kuji is a lottery system in Japan where you pull tickets to win prizes, usually new sets of figures from different anime. Now, unlike most of the figures in this set, this Cell is not a Master Release. Instead, Cell is just labeled as an Ichiban Kuji figure. Other figures that have been included in Master Release sets while not being a Master Release are things like Goma, Shenron, and Porunga, just to name a few. There's a whole conversation as to why some figures are labeled as Master Release and some aren't, but we'll leave that conversation maybe for another day. Rest assured, his quality and scaling is still in line with Master Release figures and he fits right in, so don't worry about any of that. The sculptor behind Cell is the third member of Team Ichiban that we've talked about in the series of videos, Riku. They're behind other awesome Ichiban Kuji figures too, like the entire Sandland series of Master Release figures. Riku has had a really good grip on emulating the anime for their figure sculpts, so I definitely love a lot of their work even outside of Kuji. This figure and its entire set was released on May 16th, 2025 in Japan, and it will not have an overseas release at the time of recording this video. Cell has the biggest box in the set with the same art style as prizes C, D, and E. Cell has a shot of him on the front with the Cell games behind him as he explodes, along with various logos for the Kuji and his last one prize label. The other side of his box has a close-up shot of Cell with a hard green contrast and a quote of him laughing maniacally. The back of the box has another shot of Cell. The side of the box has another shot of him with his name, and the top of the box has the Kuji logos and another indicator that he is a last one prize. Dragon Ball figures almost never have a Toei Animation sticker on the top of their box for their last one prizes. I'm not sure why, but this is the case nearly every single time. Taking this behemoth out of the box takes some work, but you'll find them protected in a plastic shell and a plastic sheet inside. Also, Bandai went a little overboard with the tape, so just be patient and don't rush so you don't cut through the tape and into the figure. The figure has a Bandai stamp to help authenticate him, which you can find right here. This massive Cell has plenty for us to talk about, so let's dive right in. Cell looks fantastic, especially in the face. There's so much character and detail from his line work, how his eyes were painted and sculpted, and look at that huge mouth. It's deep, and there's plenty of paint and work done inside of it to make it look authentic. There is a little bit of noticeable white paint down the sides of the back of his mouth, but they aren't that noticeable. Cell has plenty of texturing along his stomach too. You can see all of the sculpt and brush lines from crafting it together. His green parts are very smooth with matte painting. There doesn't seem to be a single blemish on his paint job either. I love the line work in his arms and chest that give those tiny little details that we love to see in Kuji figures. Now, while the sculpt for Cell looks fantastic and the paint is clean, there are some areas that keep him from being a perfect figure. For starters, this figure has no shading. That's pretty disappointing for a last one prize. I'm not sure why Bandai keeps electing to not have semi-perfect Cell with shading. It's not a deal breaker, but certainly something I would have loved to see on him. The other piece is that this figure is semi-hollow. His green parts are completely filled with PVC, but his big orange belly is completely hollow. It doesn't really feel cheap, likely because of the size of the figure, but I figured some costs had to be cut in order to make a figure of this caliber. I will say that Cell's tail is more of a rubber feeling piece, so it probably helps distribute his weight a lot better too. Cell's size has been a point of contention ever since it was revealed. I'll admit, he does look a bit too small. Next to Goku from the same set, it does look a little comical to have Cell so small next to him. If he were to scale perfectly with other figures though, I don't think he'd be able to fit in any of our displays. Heck, he barely fits in mine the way things are currently. I've had to put him on a spare shelf for now until my new display gets here in the mail. If we expected this figure to be as big as, say, a Shenron figure, or maybe even the Omnibus Ultra Boo figure, I think his width would create a lot of problems when posing him with others. This is all to say that I recognize his disappointing height, but I think Bandai did the most realistic thing for display purposes and the budget that they had. Cell fits really well with other Cell figures and makes the collection feel pretty complete at this point. The only other Cell figures I can see them do at this point are his larva and shell forms. Here's hoping that Bandai throws those into the collection at some point. Now, I don't own the Dragon Ball Arise Cell figure, but have seen plenty of comparisons to this figure. The major differences between both is that the Arise version has shading and takes his paint inspiration from the manga instead of the anime. The Arise version is also slightly bigger too, but is still too short to scale with Masterly's. In my opinion, you're better off going with the Ichiban Kuji. It's far cheaper than the Arise figures, as Arise figures typically go anywhere from $200 to $500 in price, and I do believe this Cell Arise figure is around that $400 to $500 price point at current. On top of that, the Arise figure is completely hollow and it's made of vinyl, so it feels a lot cheaper. It might look a little bit better in some areas, but overall, they're so comparable that you might as well just spend $100 on the exploding Cell from Ichiban Kuji. This figure is not going to have an overseas release. You're going to have to import him out of Japan. You won't find it on regular websites like Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, Entertainment Earth, but you can find him with today's sponsor, Jump Ichiban. Jump Ichiban is my #1 trusted seller for new, modern Dragon Ball releases. They carry amazing figures like today's Cell figure that we're talking about, but they also have other cool stuff like acrylic logos, vinyl records, and so much more. Their shipping is super fast. To give you context, anytime I buy with Jump Ichiban, my items always get here within a week. You can get loyalty points by shopping there frequently, but you can also use my discount code for immediate savings, starting with my first code, MatchesPeaches10, for 10% off of your first order of 2 or more items, but you can also use my other code if you're a returning buyer, MatchesPeaches5, for 5% off of unlimited orders at any quantity. So go ahead, check out Jump Ichiban, and let me know your experience. So, does this Cell figure live up to expectations? Yes, and also no. I think the sculpt and quality of the figure is really good, but the fact that he is semi-hollow is a little disappointing, but I think a lot of us senior collectors really expected this to happen. It also sucks that he looks a bit shorter than we expected, but I think with some acrylic risers and due to his huge width, he's going to look fantastic on any display if you're able to play around with it. I think he's an awesome figure, not perfect, but still an awesome pickup and worthy of a pickup ASAP. But those are my thoughts, guys. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video and you made it this far, then please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to join our growing community of collectors and enthusiasts that are just like you, check the link below. We have a link to our Discord server that you can hop on in, chat with us. We also have an Ichiban Kuji price tracker in there. So if you want to keep up with the market, you can utilize that tool. But if you do want to support the channel even further beyond, then consider becoming a YouTube member. You can come on in. You'll get perks like seeing videos like this early before anybody else, and you'll get featured here in the credits. Whatever you decide to do, your generosity is greatly appreciated. But I think that's all I got for you guys today. So till the next video, I'll see you all later.